For the last 4 years, I have been living full-time in my little DIY van. His name is Togo. Togo is named after the sled dog, and Togo is a 2016 Ram ProMaster, and 5 years ago, I began building him out all by myself with no experience. This DIY simple build took me about 8 months to finish. Over the last four plus years, I have been continuing to add things to the build or rebuild things that have allowed me to live the life that I absolutely adore. So I am Linnea and this is Akila, and we want to welcome you into our cozy little home. Quick little reminder before we begin, I built this van all by myself with no experience. There are plenty of mistakes, but I think that really adds to the charm of it all. Also, this van has been heavily lived in. Akila and I are adventurous. We like to be in the wilderness, in the backcountry, doing all sorts of things. So if you are expecting a really pristine, beautiful house-like build, this might not be the one for you. Also, over the course of these 4 years, I have learned a ton about life on the road or nomadic living, living in a van, living small. There has been a huge evolution and transformation, I think, just in my life, externally and internally, starting with the decision to build my own van. And I think it's a beautiful thing, so I'll make sure to touch on some of that throughout this tour. To be honest, the camera does make my van look larger. This is a 136 wheelbase, so it is quite compact, but I think that this is perfect for just me and Akila. If there were any other additions, I think that this would be quite small, especially for full-time living. This is my entrance and it goes right into the kitchen. Also, kind of in this entryway, I do have a swivel seat, and this swivel seat is one of the best things that I ever included in my van. There are so many moments where I have visitors and kind of this is my visitor spot. I also like to change kind of where I sit and where I work, and this allows me to work at this really nifty little pull-out countertop that I have here. So this almost doubles my kitchen counter space, and this also works as a desk for doing computer work and whatnot in my swivel seat. As you can tell, my van aesthetically, it's just all wood, not painted. I did not want to paint anything. I love the look of all of the wood. People told me time and time again that it was gonna feel too small or too enclosed, and I needed to paint the ceiling white or the walls white. And I, 4 years later, disagree with all of them. I love the wood. I love how natural it feels. It is so cozy to me. This is your reminder, if you're building your own space, your own house, your own van, your own tiny home, whatever it is, you're allowed to create that space specifically for you and what feels best for you. It doesn't have to be chic or modern or up to date. It can be whatever you want it to be. When I tell you this is the homiest home I've ever lived in, like nothing compares to this. I've never felt so at home in this space, probably because I built it too, and that like always adds a lot of, I think, value to something. Anyway, let's move on with the kitchen. Here I have a 40-liter fridge. Is it 40 liters? Maybe this is 50 liters. Man, it's been so long, I don't remember. It's like a 40 or 50-liter fridge. For the first 2 years, I believe, this was the only like cold food storage that I had. And I desperately need to go grocery shopping, but right now this is all I got. This little fridge has held up beautifully. It's a DC fridge, so it's very easy to wire into the solar system that I have. It's also very quiet and it is efficient. All of my countertops are just sealed plywood and they work great. I didn't have a lot of money when I was building this, so a lot of what you see is also from the Habitat for Humanity restore. For example, my floor, I got all of my flooring for $13. Is it waterproof and wonderful and has it held up to our lifestyle? No, not even in the slightest, and that's fine. It's a floor. All of this tile I got for $3 at the restore. Akila and I go on forest roads and backcountry roads often, probably roads that we shouldn't be driving on with this vehicle, which maybe is why I've needed so many repairs in the last few years. But even with all of that and things bouncing around, this tile has held up beautifully. This is true tile with mortar and grout and I love it. I absolutely love it, and I would do that again in a van. I need to stoke the wood stove, hold on. Oh yeah. Okay, when it comes to cooking, I keep my Coleman stove up in this nice little cabinet area. Whoa, I just did not have this out on my countertop because I cleaned for you and I wanted it to look nice. But this little Coleman stove, it's just a 2-burner propane stove. Oh my goodness. I have used this to cook all of my meals in the last 4+ years, and I would never choose anything different. I love that when I want extra space or want to clean up a bit, or if I don't need it out, I can stow it away. I also love cooking outside, so I'll often bring it outside, and the ability to move it around, cook outside, stow it away. I just love that, and I would never choose to have like an inset stove. Also in my kitchen are these beautiful drawers. These drawers are my pride and joy. I hand built these drawers. These are the first drawers that I have ever built, and I absolutely love them. Now, these little tabs that I have, about 1.5 years ago, just really started to wear out. They held up for a decent amount of time, but since these tabs don't really work to shut my doors anymore, I did add these little black latches. Otherwise they come flying open on turns, and it's like terribly annoying, and then I break my handmade mugs, which is tragic. And then, as you can see right in front of me, is my itty bitty tiny sink and a faucet. Here's the deal with my sink and faucet. I don't have running water. For the first year, I kind of had running water, if a foot pump is considered running water. Is it? I don't know. But I just had this connected to a foot pump. But I don't have running water. I've considered actually just taking this out because it gets in the way. But I don't use that. I basically don't need any of this. My itty bitty sink has basically just turned into a place for dirty-ish dishes. And I just live out of my Blueies. I just like take water from my Blueies and heat them up as needed, but I have no running water. I don't want running water. My life is better without running water. The sink does drain though, so I do have a gray water Bluey that I dump. Yeah, anyway, life's better without running water. My take on tiny living and off-grid living in life on the road is the simpler, the better. If you have less things that can break, less things that can freeze, less things that can go wrong, I think life is just better. I want to focus on living and adventuring and not fixing things. So my setup is pretty simple because of that. There is a misconception that if you're living in a van, then you're eating camping food all the time, or highly processed or packaged meals, and it really does not have to be that way. Even though I live in a small space and I'm traveling a lot, I really value my health, and that's very much a priority for me in my life. And this brings me to today's sponsor. I want to give a huge thanks to AG1 for supporting my channel and for sponsoring this video. This is so much more than just greens. This is your daily drinkable scoop of vitamins and minerals and probiotics and whole food sourced ingredients. And AG1 is formulated to help your entire body and your brain and your gut health thrive. One of the main reasons that I have incorporated AG1 into my daily routine is because this is a comprehensive blend of nutrients. So this one canister can replace multiple bottles of supplements or pills that I would take otherwise, but now I just use a single scoop of this every day in cold water. I just realized I'm running out of my travel packs. I want to share what comes in the welcome kit, because every new customer that uses the link in my description below gets $76 worth of free extra stuff. So each order comes with a 30-day supply of AG1. It comes with this nice metal canister and scoop, 5 free travel packs. These are my go-to for overseas travel and also for backpacking or camping in the wilderness. These are portioned out into like scoop sizes, and they're really light and just easy to travel with. And then you also get a shaker bottle and a bottle of vitamin D3 K2. As you can tell, I'm running a little low. I love being active, and everything that I do requires a lot of energy, whether it's building my studio space from scratch or learning how to install a septic system or backpacking miles into the backcountry. I just love knowing that AG1 is complementing my lifestyle and the energy needed to do all of the things that I love. If this sounds like something that could support your lifestyle, you can head to the link link in my description below, or you can scan this QR code to subscribe and get $20 off of your first subscription with AG1. I built a total of 4 uppers, of 4 cabinets. So this first one is basically all of my like cooking stuff, coffee stuff, drink stuff. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then this is also actually like cooking, some more dry goods, some canned stuff, snacky things, oats. These are super simple cabinets. There's no like hydraulic arm keeping them up. They have like little, just simple magnetic catches, and that's it. I've never needed anything more than that. No fancy hardware, and I am happy as can be. As you can tell, kind of every little corner is also used for storage. When you live really small, having everything kind of having a spot is so helpful with organization. Also, I am not claiming to be super organized. Things have their spots, yes, and sometimes things want to try other spots, and that's okay. Yeah, obviously I have all of my hats here. These really tough hooks that I've put up in my kitchen are the best. It holds my hatchet and my camera gear, some of my camera gear. Using that for storing things that I grab and use all the time is awesome. Here is a little basket that I made. Honestly, I just had this out because I love it and I kind of wanted to show it off, so thank you for that. I think it's important to touch on cost. So Togo was listed at $17,000 with 70,000 miles on him. And the build, like the initial first year build without any upgrades or additions, I believe was about $8,000. So the payment for this van is under $300 a month, and I like treat that as my rent. And then that year that I built the van, I was putting a lot of that on a credit card and paid that off over time. So in all, if I had just like put the cash down right away, it would have been less than $30,000. And obviously I paid off all of that over time because I did not have that kind of money. I know that this lifestyle, or even building materials, I think even vans that would be similar to Togo at this point are so much more expensive. But I have found through this lifestyle that the simplicity of living and the ease of cutting costs out of your life is so easy because I'm paying no rent. I don't have a mortgage. I am only buying what I need or what I can fit in my van. And I'm not paying for utilities or things that you typically pay for just in life, because I have spent so much time, literally countless nights, on National Forest land or BLM land, and that is free for everybody to camp for typically 2 weeks at a time in one spot. So if your intention is to save money or to live simply or more frugally, this is a great option. Now, there are people that do not live frugally on the road, or they're moving all the time, putting thousands and thousands of miles on their vehicles, and that does take a lot of gas money, or eating out because it's easier to eat out on the road than it is just to stay in and cook a meal in your van. There are so many ways that financially things can like stack up, obviously, just like anything we choose in life. But I have lived and continue to live quite frugally this way, and it has allowed me to save enough money for a down payment on a piece of property. So just about a year ago, I was able to put a down payment on 40 acres of land in Colorado. And I am so certain that if I did not make this choice over 4 years ago to live in this van, simply in the woods and save, I would not have the opportunity to purchase land of my own. Everybody has their opinions and judgments when it comes to van life or nomadic people or even people that buy land, and that's just a bit of my story. I will make sure to link videos that kind of coincide with the things that I'm talking about throughout this video if you do want to learn more or see more. And if not, cool. That's okay too. It looks so little. It looks like a toy wood stove in the camera. It basically is. This is a itty bitty wood stove. I think it was 2 years in that I decided to take out my diesel heater and install a wood stove instead. When I did the initial install, I built basically 2 walls with a metal heat guard. But after using it for a winter, I realized I really didn't need that. The clearance from behind here into the bed is totally fine. Yes, this thing puts off a lot of heat. It works beautifully, but nothing's gonna just go up in flames. You know, over the years, there have just been so many concerns or complaints about the fact that I have a wood stove in my van. And a lot of people believe that it's very dangerous. And you don't need a wood stove in your van. You don't need a wood stove in your house, but I will probably forever use wood stove heat. I grew up in a home in Wisconsin and we heated the house with a wood stove, and so it's something that I'm also just really comfortable with. It is very easily removable. So I built this little brick platform. I drilled holes in it so the feet are just bolted down. It's just a single bolt in each foot that goes through my what is this called? Countertop. It goes through my countertop and is bolted underneath here. The 5-inch flue pipe, it stays in all year long. So that never moves. That is like secured in there. But the 3-inch flue pipe and the wood stove itself, I just take it out. This wood stove came with a little like rim. I took that off so that I can heat water up on it, and sometimes I'll like put toast or like cook things on there. And I have found that compressed wood, which is actually pretty hard to find in some parts of the country, but compressed wood is the best for the wood stove. There are a lot of compressed wood brands that are not made for wood burning stoves, but are made for other types of stoves. So make sure that if you're getting compressed wood for a wood burning stove, that it does not have a bunch of adhesives and things that would gunk up the flue, because that could cause issues that you wouldn't want. One of the must-haves with this little stove is my little metal straw. I use this to blow it into a flame or to kind of revive it. For the last few winters, I've used this metal straw, and I know it's like a little thing that you would never really think of, but a little metal straw to blow air into here is, it's essential. Now, why the heck would I put a wood stove above waist height? Heat rises, that's so stupid. You should put it on the ground, blah, blah, blah. I got a lot of that when I installed it. First of all, this was an afterthought. It was an addition. So if I had planned my build around this wood stove when I did build the van, then maybe I would have done things differently. But I'm so grateful that I did not. And here is why. I'm so sorry I didn't have my mic on. If that audio didn't sound good, I apologize, but I will not be repeating myself. Okay, why does this make so much sense? Typically, you're using a wood stove in a winter or very cold weather situation. With this up high, it has half the amount of area to heat up. I don't care if the bottom part of my van is cold because I don't spend time there. When it is cold, or when there's a winter storm going on, or if I'm moving into winter, I'm lounging in my bed and I'm working in my bed. And the fact that my floor is not heating up is actually a very good thing, because I not only have my 40-liter fridge, but I also have a 60-liter freezer. And in the winter, I don't want my appliances to be working hard because I already have a limited amount of sun. So the days are shorter, which means I don't have as much of an opportunity to get solar and to get power into my batteries. And typically, if it's snowing, there might be snow on the panels. Winter is more likely to be cloudy. And so overall, my appliances and my solar system, it struggles during winter. By not having these appliances be heating up and kicking on my freezer and kicking on my fridge, then I'm just being very efficient with the energy that I can get and using the space efficiently. And on that same note, my solar does run out quite often in winter. Just yesterday, I couldn't turn my lights on because it's been cloudy for 4 days. So when that happens, I still have heat. I can still load up my wood stove and have this place be extremely cozy and very warm because I'm not relying on my solar to run my heater like I did with my diesel heater. So this requires obviously no solar, no energy. It's just fire, wood, and hot metal. And I think it's perfect if you're living off grid and relying on solar panels. Obviously my wood stove is just one of my favorite aspects about the van. It is so cozy, it is so warm. The dry heat is beautiful for tiny living and making sure that there's not a lot of condensation or mold growth, but this is my second favorite addition to the van. So this entire galley, I think it was in my second year of living on the road, I rebuilt this entire thing in the front of my friend's house, which was actually really fun. But I tore everything out and I rebuilt it in order to house this 60-liter freezer. I found that that fridge would really, like, I could have groceries that would last me about a week, and then I'd have to go back into town and get groceries again. And I think that's fine if you're somebody that is often going into cities or towns, but I often do not. I do not like chores. I don't like shopping. I don't like being in cities. That's not my lifestyle of choice when on the road. I want to be in the backcountry or like accessing wilderness areas, which takes me pretty far away from towns and cities. So I wanted a space where I could freeze a lot of meat or freeze the fish that I was catching. And this freezer just aided so much in me living the life that I wanted to and the life that I was kind of yearning for. Highly recommend, if you have the power for it, to include just a freezer space. This is also a very efficient freezer because at the time I had 200 watts of solar on my roof and 2 deep cycle gel batteries. And when I upgraded to the 60-liter freezer, I also upgraded my solar setup. So I went from 200 watts of solar to 300 watts of solar and then 2 lithium ion batteries. That is still like a pretty small setup for like what kind of builds are going out these days, but I felt like I just had unlimited power. And this area brings me to Aquila. So Aquila has her own room. This is her little kennel. There are these little pieces of hardware so that I can put a kennel door on it if needed, but I basically never ever use that. This is just her cozy, safe space, and she absolutely loves her kennel. It was so worth giving up that storage for her to have a really comfortable space in here. So Aquila truly is my priority. I built this van with her in mind because she has also been living full-time in this van for the last 4+ years. And there are a few different things that I did to make sure that she stayed really comfortable. Number one, obviously I built her own room. And there's also a lot of airflow in this space so it doesn't get too hot, too stuffy. The second thing that I did was I added an extra fan. So this is a 136 wheelbase. It is a smaller vehicle. So typically there would only be 1 fan, but I decided to put 2 fans in the ceiling so that there could be even more airflow. Aquila and I spend a lot of our time in like arid, deserty areas, and that is because the dryness is best for small living. And the beautiful thing about desert areas is even if it's hot, if you can shade yourself from the sun and then on top of that have airflow, you're good. The humid heat is less easier to work with and to be comfortable in. Okay, this is my silly little water system that it is like hardly considered a water system. Also, as you can tell, all of these handles are off-centered. So when I rebuilt this galley, I reused all of the wood that I could and just kept the handles on and like cut these to size to fit my new design. Okay, let's see how dirty this is. Okay, it's not too bad. When I did have my water pump connected, which like I said, at this point, it's over 3 years ago, I just used this type of water jug. I cut a big hole and I had just really simple water tubing go in there it would suck up my fresh water, go through my simple little faucet, and then this is my gray water. So I have a really simple little pipe that just goes into a hole that I created in there, and it fills up with gray water. When I want to empty this, I move that pipe up, I shimmy this out, dump it, and put it back in. And this is my water system, and it works just fine for me. Both of these compartments are just storage, so this is where I'll keep a lot of like cleaning stuff, tools, extra little things. It's kind of messy because who cares? And this is where I like to keep garbage bags and whatnot. And then if I'm leaving, like to go into the store or something, I'll stick my garbage in here, otherwise Akila will get to it. As you've seen, I have a wood stove in my van. That is the only form of heat, and I would never go back to a diesel heater. When I built my van, I had a diesel heater under this bench right here. Now this is used for storing various things and also a small composting toilet, but I still have the hole in the little remote here that was for my diesel heater. Now the diesel heater is so great. I think it is a beautiful option for anybody living on the road. It's easy. The diesel is very efficient. It lasts a while. There's not a lot of cleanup unless your diesel line breaks and then you have diesel flowing everywhere under cabinets and all over your floor, because that just happened to Noah, my brother, a few weeks ago when he was visiting me on the property in his trailer that we built out. So that's a really unfortunate example. I think that diesel heaters are just a fantastic option. Also, you can buy them for super cheap. I think my diesel heater was like $120, but I just didn't like it. I smelled it a lot. I didn't like the fumes that I smelled. It wasn't overwhelming, but I did notice it. And I was really nervous that if Akila was in here by herself, that she would like accidentally turn the heater on by like hitting the like display or something. I just was uneasy about it, and then I decided not to have it anymore. So I took it out, but all the evidence is still here. So this is my laundry. This is actually clean laundry that is folded and ready to put away. I just have not done that yet. But kind of everything else back here is just storage. I have like my extra protein, and I have some like computer things and some camera things. And then this is where I keep my window covers. Window covers are huge. If you live in a vehicle, get window covers. Last thing about this little space. So this bench is perfect because it allows Akila to get on the bed really easily without needing help. And then this is also where I work. This is like my primary office space. So this is a piece of live edge that I actually inlaid it with turquoise, and then I sealed it. And this actually spans the entire length of my bed, and I'll show you why towards the end of this video when we move to the garage. But it just slides in and out, so this allows me to sit here and get in here. Akila goes up, and then I sit there, and this is where I'll work, or I'll eat and journal, whatever I need. And it's such a simple solution. I got this for free in a scrap pile at a lumber yard, and you know, you could pay hundreds of dollars for something fancy and swivelly like a lagoon table, or you can just put a piece of plywood under there with a 2x2 and it just slips right in, and it works beautifully. And this is my beautiful bedroom. I've never slept so good in my whole entire life than I do in this bed. I don't know, it's a bed. What do you want to know? It's pretty high. I like that my bed is really high. I did that on purpose because I wanted a lot of storage space in my garage. Hi. Akila loves the bed. This is where she spends a lot of her time. Even like I'll be outside working on the property for hours. She'll have 40 acres to roam, but she just wants to lounge on the bed. So this is her, this is her throne. This has quickly become Akila's favorite thing to lay on, as you can tell. This is an Icelandic sheep hide that I traditionally tanned this year. And this also keeps me extremely warm in winter. I have really fallen in love with tanning and have added that to my set of skills and hobbies, and I am really excited for spring so that I can get back to tanning hides. But this is a very, very special hide. It's a hide that I tanned in Montana with some amazing people, and now it belongs to Akila. Shortly after I was done building my van, I needed a place for books, so I built this really simple little bookshelf. I had, for a short period of time, considered putting cabinets up here, and I'm so glad that I didn't. I'm so glad that it's just a small bookshelf. It keeps things very open, and I don't hit my head on it. There are 2 more cabinets up here, and this is all of my clothes. Are they super well organized and beautifully folded? No. The wiring of these puck lights ended up being very easy, and I have every single piece of my build in a YouTube playlist. You'll really take a step back in time with that, but I filmed the entire thing if you want to check it out. Similarly, over here, kind of my main lights, they're on a dimmable switch, and it's great. Okay, let's talk garage. Also, you might notice that on the outside of my van, there are these extra locks. I also have these extra locks on the interior in the front, my front 2 doors, and I love them. I think extra locks are a grand idea, but do as you please. This is my garage. How was your nap? This door has been sticking a lot lately. Hi. Oh, you're such a good girl. How are you? Okay, this is basically constantly changing. Right now it's winter, so I have a good amount of compressed wood, kind of stacked and ready for use. And then the majority of this is gear. So of course I have my 2 power stations. Something to mention about my power system. My solar panels and batteries, they take care of everything that is wired into my van. So my lights, my fridge, my freezer, and that's it. And then I rely on power stations for everything else. So my camera batteries, my phone, my watch, my computer, everything else that needs little plugins, I rely on portable power stations for that. I do not have an inverter anymore for AC power. I did the first year. I had an inverter for a year, decided I never used it. It just used too much of my power, and I just relied on my portable power stations from then on out for just extra bits and bobs that needed to be charged, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I think it does. And I also have 2 portable solar panels that I use with my power stations, and so I kind of use those like dual systems, and it works perfectly for my lifestyle. Anyway, this is my garage. I have my power stations put away right now in my garage because I am currently on the road. Like basically everything is gear. So I have this big kind of like storage tube. It's just like above my wheel well. All of that is camping gear. I have tubs. I'm missing 1 tub. One of the tubs I left at the property, but this entire tub is backpacking and camping gear and fishing gear. This is my summer sleeping bag and my really large backpacking pack. I have different gear for different seasons, and I try to fit as much as I can back here. In the last year though, since buying the property, I do also have a storage container. So that has been really wonderful to kind of take bits and pieces of gear that I know I don't need and stick them in the shipping container. So right now, like my really heavy, I have a -40-degree sleeping bag that is back at the property because I don't plan on doing any winter camping right now. On this wheel well, that is where all of my solar stuff is. I am not going to go through my solar system because I don't want to pull all of that out. But as I mentioned before, I have 2 lithium-ion batteries, and then I have 300 watts of solar on my roof, and that is plenty for my lifestyle and for what I need. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about my table. Okay, remember when I mentioned my little slide out live edge table and that it's the length of my bed? This is why. I actually stole this from Travis. His full Instagram name is Travi Wild. I stole this idea from him. But I have my live edge table here, and then I made little slits or slots on the bottom of my doors. And now I have an outdoor table. Can you see that? So I'll bring my little Coleman stove out here, or sometimes I'll just bring coffee or whatever and then hang out back here. Quite honestly, I don't use it that much, but when I do want it, it's nice to have, and I think it's a neat idea as far as like using the space. Ta-da, that's my home. Am I missing stuff? I don't know. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit more about my home. And if you're one of the people that has been here from the very start and has seen this entire evolution happen, I want to give you a huge thank you and know that I appreciate you and every single view and how invested in this whole journey you are. It's because of you that I continue to make videos and share pieces of my life. And to wrap this up, I want to share something really important that I've learned over the last 4 or 5 years. And it's that even though this life and the simplicity of living in the van with Akila brings me so much joy, and it is a very aligned way of living for me. It allows me to do all of the things that I love to do and to follow my passions while also providing me the freedom to explore different pieces of this life really easily. But also that this lifestyle truly is not for everybody. And even though it really fills my soul, I am not here in any way to tell you that this is the perfect way to live or the right way to live. I think van life or versions of van life is a beautiful thing to experience. And whether you do it for 6 months or 6 years, they are equally beautiful experiences. As for my life moving forward, this little DIY cabin on wheels is still my full-time home. And I can easily see myself living in this van for another 3, 5, 6 years. But since I have purchased property, there is some legal pressure to build a house. And while my time in the van is not ending or coming to an end anytime soon, the journey and challenges and learning curves of building something a little bit different are on the horizon. And if this is something that you are excited to experience alongside me, hit that subscribe button and prepare for a few really interesting and challenging years while I learn and build a simple off-grid home. Thank you so much for being here, and Akila and I will see you next week.